Welcome, dear friends. Welcome to our spiritual home, the Unitarian Universalist Church of Tarpon Springs. We're glad to have you with us today. My name is Judy Lucarelli, and I will be your service associate today. I use she, her pronouns to describe myself. I'm a white woman, 74 years old. For those of you who cannot see clearly, I have graying brown hair that is long enough to braid. Since the age of 12, I have been 5 feet 10 inches tall. I have hazel eyes, wear wire-rimmed glasses and dangling earrings, and today I'm wearing a rust-colored dress. While I hail from the Passamaquoddy lands of the Wabanaki, I want to acknowledge that here at this church, we are on the lands of the Tocobaga and Seminole peoples. For those present with us in the building, we have connection cards available in the pews near the hymnals. If you fill one out, front and back, we'll be able to stay in touch with you. If you're watching us on Zoom or YouTube, you can send us an email at membership@uutarpon.org to get connected. There are also small cards in the pews to write your joy or sorrow that you would like to share with us if you would rather have me read it at the end of the service instead of coming forward yourself to share it. Lay-led services are a time-honored tradition in our heritage. Today, the Board of Trustees is leading our service. Our music is provided by Bonnie Whitehurst and our choir. And again, welcome.
Our opening hymn is number 360 in your gray book. Here we have gathered, 360.
These opening words come from the UUA Leader Lab. The Leader Lab is a remarkable resource on the UUA.org website. I encourage everyone to visit there you'll find a lot of inspiration, education, and good ideas. This comes from Congregational Board Member Training, Section 11, which is titled A Strange Partnership, Governance and Ministry. Congregations are very different than traditional nonprofit corporations. Congregations are also donors that support the institution, staff and volunteers that do the work of the institution, and the beneficiaries of that work. Board members tend to have roles in all three of these aspects. A board needs to do its work deeply, minding the corporate aspects through its governance. This enables the other aspects, the ministry, to focus on the work of the congregation. We on the board find it helpful to keep this focus through the lens of three things: mission, vision, and covenant. We'll share those now, and you feel free to read along. Our mission: we are a liberal community for all ages, promoting spiritual growth, social justice, and the arts. Our vision: we are widely known as a beacon of liberal faith. We connect bravely, grow spiritually, embody justice, nurture the arts, and love unconditionally. And finally, our covenant: we strive to look for and encourage the best in each other as we move toward justice, peace, and love for both ourselves and the world. And when we fall short, we will seek understanding, reconciliation, and return to covenant.
That's it.
Our chalice lighting words are actually the words of the board covenant. Am I too high, too low? There we go. Okay. Amidst the paperwork and preparation, amidst the emails and emotions, amidst the getting it done and the pressure of time, can we find a little space for lifting our heads in wonder that we're still here, still striving, still trying together? Can we find hearts accepting all the complexity, space for falling a little bit in love with this faith again, with its tenacity, its capacity, even its audacity? Space to hold what we still believe is possible without hiding it behind disclaimers that attempt to shield our faith from cynical critique. Can we enter this workspace with a felt sense of our deepest values and the ways we can liberate them to humanize the processes and forms of our decisions and actions, our structures and governance? We light our chalice in hope that we center love and relationship, creativity and community as we meet, in hope that we can invite into our own hearts and into this space between us so much obvious respect and spacious grace that no matter what happens here, we emerge connected.
And at this time, let us sing number 123, Spirit of Life, in your gray hymnal.
Our story for all ages today will be a tale of 3 villages. There once were 3 travelers whose village was flooded. Together, they set out for a higher ground to find a new home. As they journeyed, they reminisced in stories of their former home and their loved ones lost to the flood. As they crossed over mountains, they saw a sheltered, fertile valley beyond, with a cluster of 3 small villages. One said, "This land looks a lot like home, but I'm a little bit nervous about meeting new people." Over there, the second said, "We have become good friends. We know and trust each other, and we share tasks fairly." The third said, "Let's ask good questions at each village to help us find a new home." Over their fire that night, they came up with 2 questions. How does the village make decisions? And what happens when you don't agree? When they entered the first village, the villagers told them, "We have a powerful ruler who decides what is best for our village. The ruler's family have been in charge for many generations. If we have a disagreement, the ruler decides for us." The travelers looked at each other with tight lips, then thanked the villagers and continued their journey. When they entered the second village, they asked, "How does your village make decisions?" The villagers responded, "We vote for a few people to represent all of us on a council. We vote for people who promise to make decisions that are the best for us." Then the travelers asked, "What happens if you don't agree with what the council decides?" "Sometimes we don't all like what they decide, but we have to do it." The travelers looked at each other with disappointed eyes and said, "Thank you," and goodbye to those villagers as well. As they trudged to the third village, they talked amongst themselves. One said, "That sounded good at first, but was it better than the village with a ruler?" Another said, "Not really. Some people have a bigger say." The third said, "After the others vote for them, the people on the council can do whatever they want." In the third village, they soon found some villagers to ask about decision-making there. One villager smiled and said, "Come, we will show you." The villagers formed a large circle and invited the travelers to join them. A villager wearing a special necklace said, "We welcome you into our circle. If you would like to stay, you must accept our agreements. Speak the truth, keep your promises, honor and care for this circle as part of earth and sky." The travelers looked at each other with shiny eyes and then agreed in unison. Another villager explained, "This is how we make important decisions, by listening to each in their turn under these agreements until the decision is made. This is also how we disagree, by listening to each in their turn. Sometimes we agree to disagree, but we disagree in respect and peace." The travelers smiled widely. They'd found their new home. We will now sing hymn 413, "Go Now in Peace," to sing our children out who are already in the back of the faith formation room.
The purpose of our church is to encourage all who gather here to grow more generous in spirit and in action. We now take an offering that allows us to exercise that all-important generosity of spirit, an offering that will support this self-supporting church and its many ministries. The gifts of the congregation will be most gratefully received. Now, we will take a brief moment of silence to let you settle into yourselves and your seats. If it is comfortable for you, take a few deep breaths into your body.
For our reading today, I have chosen a reading from Governance and Ministry, Rethinking the Board Leadership by Dan Hopkins. This book is one of ours that we follow for our process of board meetings. Modes of Board Covenants and Governance. This board makes an important contributions to the mission, vision, and covenant in three ways. First, by being a good partner to the ministry leaders, by hosting an ongoing conversation about the future and creating a sound structure of policy to regulate decision-making. Governance by partnership is creating and sustaining a strong partnership between the Board of Trustees and the clergy leader. It's one of the board's most crucial contributions. If possible, the Board of Trustees should appear before the congregation often to confirm the importance of its role. Governance by conversation. By electing the Board of Trustees and getting approval of the budget, an overview comes from the treasurer. Board minutes are posted in the connections quickly after each board meeting, and also board meetings are open to all members. The third way of mode is governance by policy. When the board meets, they are responsible for making decisions, protecting human and material resources against loss, and setting standards to conduct the congregation's work. These policies allow us consistent, accountable decision-making and saves the board a lot of time in dealing with tedious details. This ends the reading from the Hopkins book. Today's service is another way for us to present the working of the board and share with the congregation how we function.
So it's been said that UU is the place where you go to get your answers questioned, right? So as we were thinking about sharing a little bit of the inner workings and thoughts of the Board of Trustees, we thought, well, what better way than to adapt Jeopardy, the game show where, you reverse that question and answer thing for the most part. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to play a little Jeopardy, share some information, and hopefully invite dialogue that will continue beyond just this limited time this morning. For introductions of our game players / board members, BettyLou Cummins, BettyLou served an elected term as a trustee at large and now is filling in because we had a departure of Brian Heath, and so she is kind and generous enough to fill in for us. Judy Pickett is our treasurer, serving her second term as treasurer. Am I right? All right. Thank you, Judy. Barbara Mellen. Barbara is serving her first term. You know Barbara for everything she does around our campus, from the little book library to Navigator Scouts and gathering beads, and she's amazing. And Betty Clark, who is serving her first elected term as trustee at large in this church, though she has served many roles before in other churches. So thank you all. And I'm Mark Hopkins. I serve as the clerk, you know, in ordinary times, but today the special role is I get to be the host. I get to be the game show host, questioning these people. So our game is governance and spiritual community. Our categories are leading or herding cats, come together, of or relating to the Spirit, roles and responsibility, and of course, Pourri. A little twist on the game because we're UU. They're going to choose a category. I'm going to give them the Jeopardy response, and they have to form their answer in the form of a question. Then I'm going to give them a toss-up, follow-up that anyone on the panel can respond to, so you can get to know better how the board thinks and approaches situations. Ready, guys? All right. I picked BettyLou Cummins to go first.
Mark,
Yes.
could I have leading or herding cats for 300?
Okay, leading or herding cats for 300. Emphasizes collaboration, collective decision-making, and the equal distribution of authority and responsibility among team members. Remember, in the form of a question.
What is shared ministry?
What is shared leadership? You are right.
Leadership.
In this setting, leadership is a ministry. Do we accept that answer? Yes, we do. Leadership is one of the ministries in this congregation. Now, this is a toss-up for everyone on the panel. How does shared leadership work on this Board of Trustees?
So first, if you miss the dress rehearsal, you get thrown extra stuff to do or reassigned stuff. It's no one specific job.
When we have a board meeting, we rotate around who is going to be the facilitator, so we all get a chance of being leader.
We used to have a president of the board. We had president, vice president, clerk, treasurer, and members at large. Unfortunately, no one wanted to step up to be president. So that's part of our shared leadership, is that we share facilitation, we share agenda making, we share decision making. Anything else?
I think I'm good.
Okay.
I'm going to add two more things that I've observed. Reverend Kristina helped us reframe the notion of how we would do leadership by informing us that shared leadership is becoming a more common practice around UU and other institutions. And Barbara Mellen mentioned to us when she joined the board, you may have noticed she's a bit younger than some of us other ones on the board, that younger people like organizations that aren't hierarchical and ruled from the top down. So there you go, guys. We're getting ahead of the curve here. Next, I'm going to ask Betty Clark.
I think I will take come together for 200.
Come together for 200. We are part of the blank web of all existence.
What is interdependence?
What is interdependent? Very good. How many in the audience would have gotten that? We're teaching as we're going. Question for the board, a toss-up. How is this Board of Trustees interdependent on these folks, the members, the visitors, the friends? How are you interdependent?
I think part of that is interacting and being part of a group. So we're all members of the church. So we work with you all in making decisions, but when we're in coffee hour, we visit, we talk about things, and we also try to be very visible of being interdependent among you with our name tags with our board members.
I know for me, it's also when we work on things, when we have committees, we really make it a point that the board is not the only person on the committee. When we were putting together our ministerial search information to post, it was so important that we had the input of the members and that we really prioritized what the members were, that there was only one of us from the Board of Trustees even on that committee, and we wanted to make sure that it was the members telling what we should be putting and what we were asking for as a new minister.
I read something once about the interdependence of one another. I cannot function alone. You cannot function alone. We need you, you need us, and together we can get it done.
I think my colleagues have pretty much summed exactly how I feel too. I'm a member of the church, of course. I started off as a friend, a visitor. This church, the congregation, is so incredibly important. It is a part of my life, as I'm sure everybody else here. It's the web. We're all together. We're tied together.
One more thing. When I was asked to potentially be on the board, one of the things I said is, I can't do all of this. I don't have the capacity or the time. And so it was emphasized to me that the transition to shared leadership did involve the congregation as being part of the leadership. So that's the only reason I agreed to join the board, is because I knew it wasn't just going to be the board and just going to be me.
We're all in this alone together.
They just let the cat out of the bag. You're all on the board now. Very good. Thank you. That was great. Next up is Judy Pickett.
Mark, I would like roles and responsibilities for, I'll go for the gusto, 500.
500. Of course, the treasurer going for the big bucks.
Yep.
The basis for successful relations and thriving congregations, which can be defined as a belief in the abilities, integrity, and character of another person.
What is trust?
Bing! You nailed it. No wonder that was a $500 question. Mm-hmm. You guys know what the toss-up's going to be already, right?
Yep.
So how do you build trust?
I think one thing that we do really well is to be open and honest with each other. And when we were in rehearsal for this on Thursday, I thought I was going to be in the hospital on Friday. But things turned around with new medication, and so I was very honest with them to say, I may not be a part of this service.
But she's here, you notice. Yeah.
And I missed the rehearsal because I was working. And yes, I got assigned extra stuff, but I trusted that they wouldn't put me in over my head, that I would have a script that I could follow, and that hopefully people would laugh even if I messed up.
Well, part of trust is valuing long-term relationships, reaching out, talking with others, admit it when you're wrong. Be vulnerable. That's a lot for me. That's part of trust.
Yeah, the vulnerability really, to me, involves courage. We have to be open and vulnerable. We have to have the courage to be open and vulnerable to others, and we have to have the courage to accept others' vulnerabilities as well as our own.
I saw a brief lesson in that even as we were setting up the stage and getting all the equipment ready. Apparently there's a common acknowledged thing among the tech team that perfection is not expected. Am I right?
Oh, wait a minute. What is there? Is there perfection? Is that part of our category?
No,
Oh, okay, good.
perfection is not. I just wanted to emphasize that because I want to carry it home. Some of you will get that.
Uh-huh.
Okay, Judy Pickett, I'm going to call on you for a follow-up question. Next question.
Okay. Oh, you've already got it up there.
I
How
do.
about come together for 300?
I have that psychic ability, Judy. Being open to feedback, communicating clearly and honestly, and defaulting to information sharing.
This is a biggie for any church. It's called transparency.
Form of a question, please.
What is transparency?
I just wanted to be able to say that once. Well done.
Thank you. Thank you very much. And how do we remain transparent? Quality of being seen through. You could see through something. Transparency is an illusion, sometimes between people, a curtain or whatever, but the transparency is the ability to see through that curtain to the other side and to be both ways visible. So, open and honest.
As I mentioned in the reading, Mark, as our clerk, is very quick to turn around the minutes. We'll be meeting tomorrow, and he'll have the minutes ready for the connections for next Friday's issue. So please, make a note of those when you read the connections, that our minutes are there, and you're also invited to attend any board meeting.
The nice thing is that not just attend, but because there's folks that can't always be there in person, it's always available on Zoom too. So if you cannot be there, you can be there if you want to. So we try to make sure it's not just transparent, but accessible.
I'm going to add to that the book you quoted from by Hopkins. I think in the book, if I recall, the point is made that it's difficult. One of the most difficult challenges that any leadership group faces, because some people like a little information, some people like a lot. Some people like to hear it, some people like to read it. And time passes and you want to share something and it changes in your mind over time. So I just want to put it out there that I think it's a two-way deal, interactive, back and forth. If you don't think, ask. All right, ye who missed the rehearsal, Barbara Mellen.
I will take roles and responsibilities for 400, please.
Role and responsibility, 400, all right. Jump into that category. Duty of care, duty of loyalty, and duty of obedience.
And this one I had to research because I didn't know. What are the 3 primary legal duties of any board? We have actual legal duties.
Bingo, yes. Any of you who've been on boards, you know these, right? Okay, familiar ring. Basically, they amount to the 3 duties imply that resources are ethically and responsibly used in the best interest of the mission, not my interest or your interest, all that sort of stuff. So how has this Board of Trustees faced challenges in carrying out the duties?
So I didn't realize these were actual legal duties until we started putting this game together. So that's one of the challenges, and one of the things we're working on as a board is making sure new members join the board and know what they have to do from a both legal and transparent, and of course serving the congregation. So one of the challenges, educating new board members.
I like that middle one that says duty of loyalty, that we have to be loyal to the church because you all elected us to be in these positions.
I'm having trouble with the word obedience. I didn't even say obey when I got married. But I think in the context of the board, we're obedient to our bylaws. We're obedient to one another to make sure that we live the mission, vision, and covenant of the church in our deliberations.
You know, like Barbara, I have to admit that I didn't realize exactly how much of a legal responsibility I was taking on when I became a board member. So I think, to me, the legality involves courage as well, because we have to be courageous enough and transparent enough to share with everybody else what we come up with. We had to have a great deal of courage recently as we've gone with the budget proposal, and the courage and back to vulnerability to face up to our responsibilities, legal, morally, ethically, the whole bit.
Yeah, yeah. Barbara Mellen again.
All right. I will take of or related to the Spirit for $100, please.
You got it. Respectful, responsible, life-loving kids who know they are valued for all of who they are and are ready to show others the same deep acceptance.
What are the goals of faith formation for our youth?
Right on target.
Good thing I have a script.
and a little bit of like, who would be the best person? Okay, so here's a toss-up. What happens in faith formation at UUCTS? You could like see if the other ones know this first.
I'm gonna let you cover.
Well, I'm not actually going to fully answer from what I know. If you asked Alex, then he would say he gets to play, he gets to do arts and crafts and things, and then every now and then he learns something.
I don't have a child of faith formation age, but I want to be I'm so grateful because when my grandson visited not too long ago, he's been brought up, frankly, religion-free, as his father was. And so he had some questions, but he had such a good time, I nearly had to drag him out of the room. And I'm so delighted that there is a place when he visits me that he can learn some of the values and the love that this church offers.
True that.
Even though we don't go in there with the kids, I really have faith in our two leaders that are there, that they're going to provide some structure. The kids may not know why they're learning something or through our arts and craft, but it's actually been very well planned.
They're getting to know each other.
Yeah, the kids are getting to know each other. Now, the real answer to what happens, other than just fun and play, is that often our faith formation leaders get a little bit of foreknowledge about what the service might be about, and they try to tie the lesson and the fun stuff to whatever it is going on in the service, or maybe the theme for the month. Recently, they learned about a female, oh my gosh, Alex would have this better, about a woman who did a lot of stuff to help the environment and the planet, and he would also know those better. They do learn about what are our 7 principles. When Alex first started attending, he learned Spirit of Life, so he now sings that, and that's about the only thing I can get him to actually sing when there's a hymn in church, because he knows that song. So, and they do make friendships, which is also pretty cool.
And for anybody else who's curious to know what the answer to that question is for you, just go down there and look at the wall, look at the things hanging up. As the kids come out of the room, they've got stuff usually, just, engage them a little bit. I'd like to know what that is, so cool. Betty, give you the next one.
I'll have of or related to the Spirit for 200.
Of related to the Spirit. 200 is spirituality may be found here.
I wish I could sing, but it's found everywhere.
Thank you.
What is everywhere?
What? Oh, man! I had my big opportunity. I don't think it was a toss-up here. So BettyLou, you got the next one.
Oh, let's see. Could I get Mike? Okay. Related to the Spirit for 300.
Pew Research reports that 22% of Americans consider themselves this, but not religious. Very good. We got some audience participation going. Oh, say it.
Oh, what is spiritual?
Who's got the next one?
Judy.
Judy.
Oh. Related to the spirit. I'm going for the gusto again, 500.
You are. You want the big bucks. I get it.
I know.
The UU states, blank, is our shared Unitarian Universalist practice of exploring, connecting to, and creating the ways that our individual lives fit into the larger whole.
And there's so many words I could put in there, but I think, what is worship?
What is worship? Is the answer on the board. Thank you. Who's next?
Oh, God, I got another one.
Got another one. All right.
Related to the spirit, I'm going down to 400.
400. This kind of leadership is said to be a willingness to depend on something larger than ourselves and be in community.
What is spiritual leadership?
Absolutely. Now this one, I'm going to toss it up again. How is your work on the Board of Trustees spiritual?
For one thing, before every meeting starts, or as we start, we light the chalice and we have a reading. And we read our covenant to inform us, remind us of how we are to be together. Those two elements are kind of spiritual to me.
So I don't necessarily consider myself spiritual. I come to church and I participate for the sense of community and for the social justice and all of those sort of things. To me, community can be spiritual, and having smaller communities within larger communities that then share what they're doing or work with the larger community can almost be a form of spirituality. I'm also the person who can't sit still for yoga, so I run or walk or move to meditate. So if you think of that, having that organization to help carry out what the members in the church want is a little bit spiritual for me, and to be able to participate in that.
Perhaps I'm a bit more old school than Barbara, but to me, worship and the spiritual aspect is incredibly important. I feel a replenishment. When I use the word soul, we don't know it exists, but we don't know that it doesn't. But I feel a replenishment of whatever that is through worship and the spirituality.
How many of you tap your foot during some of the music? I think our music program that's put on by Bonnie and with the choir is very spiritual.
So
Who's got the next one? All right.
so I'm going to go with roles and responsibilities for 300. I must like this category.
Volunteers in this category.
I was voluntold.
Volunteers in this category are elected to represent the congregation in board decisions and actions. Their roles and responsibility are determined as needs arise.
Who are members at large?
Yay, yay, yay.
Or trustees at large?
We can tell them what to do.
So you think. Yes, you tell us what to do. And we try to listen. Hopefully we open our ears and actually do listen, not just hearing. Or hearing and not just listening, one or the other.
I think I got time to squeeze one more in here before final Jeopardy.
I want potpourri for 500.
Potpourri for $500. 5 smooth stones are buried here.
Now you think they're in the garden, but they're not. They're right here under my feet. They're buried here inside of the chancel.
Yeah. Now there are 5 smooth stones in the garden also. Yeah, but she got it. The trick part of that question was buried, and they're kind of like buried. Yeah.
So the answer is, what is right below my feet?
Boom! You got it. What is right below? It's the wall back there, down there. As far as I understand, I haven't really dug down. Well done. Last toss-up for you is, what is the significance of the five smooth stones, which represent love, courage, justice, hope, and joy.
Before we as a board answer this, can anyone out there in the audience answer?
Lovely.
Anybody else know? I'm going to walk the mic down.
One of the first theologians considered for Unitarian Universalism is James Luther Adams. And in the compilation of his essays, he was a Unitarian minister for many years. He named the 5 items that were foundational to a liberal religion: love, courage, justice, hope, and joy. Each have some significance to them and can be related to our principles. I'm not so well versed to actually connect each one. Maybe somebody else is, but right off the top of my head, I can't do that. But they are connected to our principles. And the idea of Unitarian Universalism is based on these but other values. These are the primary values that this church has taken itself to.
All right, are you ready? Anything to add?
Anyone else want to add anything?
All right. Embrace yourself for Final Jeopardy. The Final Jeopardy category is creedless faith. Creedless faith. You can determine how much you want to wager, how much you want to put at risk, how much you want to connect.
Everyone, the board says all in.
All in, all right. Creedless faith, here we go. Both a noun and a verb. It is the netting that joins UU congregations, communities, and individuals together in a web of interconnections. This practice of promising to walk together is the precious core of our creedless faith.
Anyone want to take a step?
You can put your heads together. You can answer this in unison as a group.
What is covenant?
Woo-hoo! And, thank you. The toss-up is for everyone in the room again. How are you held in covenant? How are you held in the interconnected web by covenant? And just invite you to look around and see if you can see anyone here who you perceive yourself connected with in covenant. And you may acknowledge that. You can just look at them, bow to them or something. But this continues into the social hall. So whoever you identify here now, talk to them in the social hall and say, oh, by the way, that last little Jeopardy goofy thing, I thought of you. And I think that we're connected in covenant. See where that may lead you. I thank you, panel members. I thank you, audience. You want me to move it to the next slide or you?
I believe the next thing that we are doing is singing a hymn in the Teal hymn book, 1023, Building Bridges, 1023. And we'll be singing it in a round. First, we will all sing it together, and then we will divide into 2 separate parts. Our front row choir will sing first, and then our back row of the choir will sing second in the round. You follow whoever you'd like.
Building bridges between our divisions, I reach out to you, will you reach out to me? With all our voices and all of our visions, friends. needs. I reach out to bridges between our divisions. I reach out to voices when you reach out to visions. We're ready for voices that lead our nations. Friends, we could make such sweet harmony.
For our closing, I've chosen words from Leadership as an Art by Max Dupree. Max Dupree was a business leader, head of a large organization, but has a lot of wisdom to share and things that I think relate to anyone in any setting. The first responsibility of a leader is to define reality. The last is to say thank you. In between the two, the leader must become a servant and a debtor. That sums up the progress of the artful leader. Leaders owe a covenant to the institution, which is, after all, a group of people. Leaders owe the organization a new reference point for what caring, purposeful, committed people can be in the institutional setting. Notice I did not say what people can do. What we can do is merely a consequence of what we can be. Institutions, like people who compose them, are always in a state of becoming. Covenants bind people together and enable them to meet their corporate needs by meeting the needs of one another. We must do this in a way that is consonant with the world around us.
A funny thing happened on the way to church last Sunday. Billows of smoke came rolling from the door. Well, I ran out to tell the leading deacon something should be done, 'cause the church is on fire for sure. And they said, that's a point well put and a kindly suggestion we'll bring up at the very next meeting of the Board of Deacons a week from Tuesday. I don't know why, it's just church policy. At the First Nazamethel, Baptist-Costal, Seventh-day Orthodox, Luther-Ritarian, non-denominational Church of Our Lady of the Mind. We were back in church the very next Sunday, in a tent bought and paid for by the building fund. Well, I stood up to tell the congregation, there's a tornado coming, everybody run. And they said, that's a point well put and a kindly suggestion we'll bring up at the very next meeting of the Board of Deacons a week from Tuesday. I don't know why, it's just church policy. At the First Nazamethel, Baptist-Costal, Seventh-day Orthodox, Luther-Ritarian, non-denominational Church of Our Lady of the Mind. We had an open-air meeting the very next Sunday, when the trumpets sounded and the clouds were rolled away. Well, I stood up to tell the congregation, lift up your heads, for the Lord has come today. And they said, that's a point well put and a kindly suggestion we'll bring up at the very next meeting of the Board of Deacons a week from Tuesday. I don't know why, it's just church policy. At the First Nazamethel, Baptist-Costal, Seventh-day Orthodox, Luther-Ritarian, non-denominational Church of Our Lady of the Mind.
You can always count on Bonnie. We hope you